Welcome to the Property Code. I am Nick, and today we are unpacking real estate passive income strategies for 2025. Search demand this year clusters around phrases like passive income real estate, dividend-paying REITs, turnkey rental property, midterm rentals near hospitals, triple net lease investing, build-to-rent, fractional real estate, and tokenized properties. Those queries tell us people want mailbox money without the midnight maintenance call. The truth is there are levels of passivity, not a single switch. To show what actually works now, let me introduce Sariah. Sariah is a 39-year-old mail carrier in Cleveland. After one icy winter of overtime, she set a modest goal. By next December, create enough stable property income to cover 1 week of take-home pay every month. Her rule was simple. Every step must be honest about time, risk, and taxes. She would climb a ladder from paper real estate to brick and mortar, choosing only options that stay calm when interest rates drift and local rules shift. Her first step lived inside her retirement accounts because genuinely passive income starts where paperwork is light. She opened a low-cost brokerage and bought 2 diversified real estate investment trusts. One focused on apartments and industrial logistics, the other on neighborhood shopping centers anchored by grocery stores. She liked that REITs pay dividends without tenants texting her and that she could add $50 every payday. Yields hovered in the mid-single digits, paid quarterly, and she set dividends to reinvest until her emergency fund reached 6 months of expenses. The lesson was immediate. Passive begins with liquidity and simple rules before it ever touches a deed. For step 2, she tasted fractional ownership. 2025 made it far easier to buy small slices of institutional-grade buildings. Sariah invested $1,000 into a tokenized industrial warehouse with monthly distributions paid in a dollar-pegged stablecoin and reported on a standard tax form at year-end. She did not chase exotic coins. She chose a sponsor who posted third-party rent rolls, showed leverage clearly, and offered secondary transfer after a seasoning period. The return target was a mid-single-digit cash yield with upside at sale. She viewed it as a learning sandbox for cap rates and net operating income, not as a replacement for a savings account. It was passive in the same way a dividend stock is passive. The work is vetting the operator, not fixing a sink. Her third step moved closer to the ground while staying as passive as a deed allows. She bought a single home in a build-to-rent community outside Columbus, where every house shared the same floor plan, the same durable finishes, and the same property manager. The lender sized the mortgage using a debt service coverage test, which means the property's income, not her pay stub, carried the decision once the home was leased. The rate sat in the mid-6% range, fixed. Builder incentives funded a permanent rate buy-down and a small credit toward closing costs. The home came with a heat pump water heater, sealed ducts, and smart leak sensors that text the manager before a drip becomes a disaster. Those details were not decoration. Lower utilities and fewer surprises keep tenants longer and stabilize the cash flow that passive investors crave. Sariah's fourth step added a stream most investors overlook until they meet a landlord who looks very rested. She bought into a fractional triple net lease, the kind of property where the tenant pays taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and the sponsor sends owners a net check. Her slice was small, but the point was proof. The tenant was a medical clinic with a corporate guarantee and a lease term longer than a decade, with scheduled bumps every few years. In exchange for a lower yield than a hands-on rental, she gained predictability and nearly zero involvement. She learned that passivity is often a trade, less effort in exchange for steadier but slightly thinner income. The final step was local and personal. Cleveland's backyard unit rules had opened up, and her mother's lot qualified. Sariah financed a small accessory dwelling unit through a green loan that rewarded energy-efficient prefab construction with a slightly better rate. A property manager handled leasing and midterm stays for traveling clinicians. The unit paid for itself while letting her keep family close. It was not as passive as a REIT, but with a manager and standardized finishes it behaved like a quiet annuity tucked behind the fence. Along the way, she built guardrails that matter in 2025. She fixed every loan she could at a rate that let her sleep. She kept a 6-month reserve across all properties because nothing is passive if you are undercapitalized. She insured for wind, water, and liability with eyes wide open, choosing resilient materials and trimming branches before storms became claims. She used simple tax hygiene. Direct ownership delivered depreciation that sheltered rental income. The triple net slice issued a predictable statement. The REIT dividends sat in a tax-advantaged account. She never ran a strategy that only worked if appreciation was generous every single year. Passive income must pencil even if rents pause. If you want to copy the shape of her plan, think of passive as a 3-rung ladder. On the first rung, live the paper plays. Public REITs and private non-traded funds are the easiest door. They pay dividends, offer broad diversification, and sell with a swipe. The risk is market pricing and, for private funds, liquidity windows. On the second rung, live pooled direct ownership options. Fractional shares of stabilized apartments, triple net portfolios, and tokenized deals fall here. They can feel stock-like, but underneath are leases and roofs. Choose sponsors who post third-party financials, cap their fees, and explain how you exit when life changes. On the third rung, live personal assets with professional management. Think build-to-rent homes, small multifamily with a manager, backyard units, and carefully selected midterm rentals near hospitals or universities. These deliver tax benefits and leverage, but only feel passive if your manager, reserves, and materials are rock solid. 2025 adds a few tailwinds you can catch. Cities continue to legalize backyard homes and simplify permits for small infill. Utility rebates for heat pumps, induction ranges, and insulation lower both monthly bills and insurance risk. Builders with finished inventory fund rate buydowns and closing credits that reduce payments in a lasting way. Artificial intelligence tools highlight blocks where transit expansions and employer growth point to durable demand. The street walks at dawn and after dark still tell the truth better than any heat map. Let me show how Sariah's numbers felt in real life, translated into round figures. Her 2 REITs yielded roughly 4 to 5%, paying quarterly. The tokenized warehouse targeted a mid-single-digit cash yield with an eventual sale game years away. The build-to-rent home, after a permanent buy-down and professional management, landed near break even at first and moved into modest positive cash flow after the first renewal. The triple net slice sent a steady check that barely moved with headlines. The backyard unit, once occupied, covered its payment and contributed a few $100s beyond that. Stacked together, the streams reached her goal of 1 week of take-home pay each month by the 11th month, without a single night spent watching a wet drywall patch and wondering where the water was coming from. There are traps to avoid. Anything promising double-digit cash yields with no volatility deserves suspicion in a year when financing costs start with a 6. Fancy software cannot redeem a sponsor who will not share a real rent roll and a real loan agreement. No loan is truly passive if your reserves are thin. And if a plan only works by assuming every tenant stays forever and every roof lasts beyond its warranty, it is not a plan, it is a wish. The quiet superpower of passive income is sequencing. Sariah did not try to buy everything at once. She layered income streams in the order of complexity: paper first, pooled second, personal last. Each stream taught vocabulary she used to judge the next. Dividends made her read footnotes. Fractional shares made her study cap rates. A managed home taught her how small materials choices become large budget lines. By the time she built the backyard unit, she could walk a job site and see dollars in duct tape and door swings. If you are starting from zero, write 1 sentence tonight that names a monthly dollar target and a reserve size. In the morning, choose your first rung. If you need proof you can stick with a plan, begin with a dividend strategy you can automate inside a retirement account. If you are ready for a deed but crave calm, find a build-to-rent community where every single home looks like its neighbor and a reputable manager holds the keys. If you love reliability, study triple net portfolios with long leases and modest growth. If you want local control, learn your city's accessory dwelling unit rules and price a simple prefab. Whatever you choose, make it boring on purpose. Passive is not the absence of work, it is the presence of systems that keep working without you. Sariah ended her first year with 4 streams that did not depend on her alarm clock. She still carried the mail, now with a weather eye for duplexes on her route. She still read offering documents, now with a calm she did not have before. The goal had never been to stop working. It was to stop worrying. Passive income did not make life dazzling, it made it steady, and that steadiness felt like a kind of wealth no headline can measure.